outstanding issues.
And I may have missed it, but the trust financial statements and related notes for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2021
Yes, outstanding issue.
were submitted in July of 2022. Was that timely? For the fiscal year ended June 30.
I have a kickback. It was timely based on the schedule for how we have conducted that audit in the past. For each year prior to 2022, the auditors request those statements when they're near the completion of the full audit. So they wouldn't have requested them until they were near completion of the fiscal year 2020 audit that they're working on now. Auditors have let us know going forward, they are more timely, because the fiscal year 2022, we will have to do those in 2022 because they'll be subject to audit in January of 2023. But yes, they were timely based on the past schedule, but going forward, that wouldn't be timely.
So they were timely based on the request.
In the past, yes.
Yes, okay, because, okay, that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, and congratulations on the new staff members that you have, Mr. Allen, that have the expertise in preparing the financial statements. But on the bank reconciliations for the foundation,
Yes.
as I read it, and I may have misunderstood it, is that you got bank reconciliations for July 21 through April of 2022.
Correct.
The May and June bank reconciliations, you don't have that, is that right?
Yes, because while
Okay.
they were going to be prepared, they realized we're going to need to correct even the July through April.
And if I may respond to
Yeah.
that. So what's happened is, as we've gone through this process, we identified items that were impacting us from FY 18-19. So that, of course, impacts your beginning balance on each of your reconciliations. So that's why we had to wait until we had those issues resolved before we could release those bank reconciliations for May and June.
Okay, so are we current with that now?
So we will be this week. The auditors are closing out their work for the FY21 audit, in which we will have an exit conference the week of the 26th. So they're sending us the final adjustments. We actually brought this to the auditor's attention several months ago. And so they decided they wanted to do additional work to determine that it was not an FY21 issue, the year in which is currently under audit. It was then determined based on that additional work that we had properly recorded everything in FY21. However, it was truly a prior period adjustment. And when you make a prior period adjustment, that is an adjustment to your beginning net position. So that's how it then impacts your beginning balance for FY21 going forward.
Okay. At the last meeting, as I remember, I think there was some discussion about the policies related to foundation gifts and the number of days we had in terms of handling the receipts of the donated funds. Did Mr. Allen, did you and Director VP Allen, did you and Director Davis get together on that so that everybody's clear on what the policy is?
Yes, Ms. Davis and I have had conversations. We try to meet periodically, and we have actually addressed that. Our goal is state policy is turnaround within 3 business days, but because the foundation is a separate 501c3 entity, we don't have to follow that particular state policy. But our goal is to mirror that as close as we possibly can. Okay,
so yeah, the foundation is a separate entity that was developed to support, of course, the institution. So as I understand what you, and I agree with what you're saying, is that the state rules for the university would not apply to the foundation. So are you and Director Davis now in agreement on that?
Yes, it's for the foundation, it's within 5 days.
Okay, that is our policy.
Yes.
Okay, and are we now following that? Because I know that we had some that were within 10 days.
Yes, and I know Dr. Adrian Davis, Ms. Davis is going to be doing some additional work in that area. She'll be able to follow up to confirm that that work is being done within the time frame.
Okay.
And I do plan to initiate that follow-up in the coming weeks. And the last time I confirmed with the auditors which days they would be using, at the time, they were unsure. So I haven't confirmed with the auditors because I do like to mirror that, because if we're gonna have a finding from an external entity, we want to make sure we're meeting whatever standard they're using as well. So if we have 5 and they have 3, I'll report to you on the 3 and the 5 so that you will know how we're doing.
Okay, but if the auditors are saying that it has to be done in 3,
I would use 3.
If I may, auditors don't set the responsibilities. Those are by management. Okay, now it's state law that the university is required to be within 3 business days, not the foundation. So that's why we have a 5-day instituting a 5-day turnaround time to make sure that all deposits are recorded.
okay, well, I'm going to ask the 2 of you to continue work on it. I do understand the separate entity. I do understand
Yes,
the
ma'am.
rules from the state. So we just need to make sure you're all on that. Now, the last question that I have is, what firm was hired to handle collections?
No, 1 second.
I lost my note with the name on it. Do you have that, VP Allen?
Not in front of me, I do not.
Got that.
Okay, then okay, that's okay about the firm. You can report that later, but the other question I would have is that process implemented now?
As of my last follow-up, which was as of August 26th, it was still in contract review. So a follow-up as of today, VP Allen will have to give that.
Yes, so we are in the process of engaging the staff. I believe they are to commence on 10/1, and I will confirm that for you, Madam Chair.
So we selected a company, but it's not actually implemented at this time.
That is correct, because what we've done, we've looked at our internal policies and processes first and foremost. And as we gather those, that's where we are being able to design that scope of work to ensure that we capture everything within the needs for the bursar's office in the collection process.
One other question. You just mentioned, and I do understand that the foundation is a separate 501c3 entity. So could you explain to me and to the board, because I'm just not sure, could you explain why the foundation becomes a part of the audit and findings, etc., for the university?
Madam Chair, you want me to answer that question?
Or whomever, somebody.
I would like you to answer, Ms. Allen.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
And
It
other
is,
than-
yeah. So under GASB 39, which is Governmental Accounting Standards Board, the foundation is listed as a component unit of the university. Okay, it is a fundraising arm, and that's the sole purpose. However, the state of Tennessee, it's rather unorthodox that you have a FASB, Financial Accounting Standards Board, institution such as a 501c3, which is our foundation, follow GASB pronouncements. That really is not common practice. I'm not sure why they do that, because the rules do differ. My experience has been both as an auditor and at other institutions, they are truly separate. The audits are conducted separately. Separate reports are then issued. The difference is you just take the foundation's financial statements and you roll them into the university's financial statements. So in this case, they actually issue 2 separate reports, but then they're following GASB under both, which is, again, not normal practice. So I'm not sure why they do it. But at the end of the day, it should not, it really should be its own separate audit, it's a separate entity.
Well, can we?
And
speak
let me,
with-
excuse me, let me just not cut you, let me follow up on what he's saying. We've had discussions and it's come up in other presidents' meetings. That's a concern that's growing for the few schools that have it like that. Many of the schools don't. It's a Tennessee law. We can probably talk to Jason Mumpert. Well, he's not a CPA, so probably talk to a second level person down and have a conversation with them about following FASB and GASB and some of the problems it may present. Because when you sign up for a financial statement, you know, only CPAs can sign financial statements. But I mean, when you look at that and see that this is a nonprofit entity and this is a separate arm of TSU, but it's not, has its own board of directors, its own everything, but then it's rolled into TSU's audit. That's, you know, there are three of us who were talking through this because I know in other schools it's just not done like that. And so we're going to meet with them at some point and just come to have a discussion on that. Would they be willing, how would they rule? What's the process about changing that rule? Or, you know, if it's worth looking at to be changed. It's a conversation that needs to be had. I'm glad you raised that question. It's a conversation that we probably need to have.
Okay, well, I just wondered about that. I'm sorry, I did not know it. So I think if you would just keep us informed on that. Does anyone else have any questions regarding these outstanding issues that we have?
Well, mine is just sort of a rolling question. You know, we're talking about the financial statements and the financial audits, but the audit really go across different departments and different functions. So is there any movement on what our total sort of enterprise risk management effort is looking like now? Do we have a person? Are we considering a person? Because some of these things I think could be captured within that function as the heads of the various areas meet and talk and identify where problem areas are. So are we making progress there?
Well, you raised that question before, and we did hear you.
Yeah.
Miss Allen and I talked about bringing in a risk manager, a person. Miss Allen, you remember what that title, we come up with title and responsibilities about someone who can really look at risk on a more systematic and more structured basis.
And yes, ma'am, Madam President. And though where internal audit kind of reviews encompasses all things within the university to help mitigate risk, it's nice to have someone with the risk management from an operations side, from day-to-day operations. And that is actually building a plan to look at and really dissect our business policies and procedures to see if there's any gaps in those processes. One thing that Dr. Cole had mentioned earlier is we have really good policy and processes in place now, but it's ensuring that individuals follow those processes. That is key to our success.
My last comment will be that, of course, if I always mention that if it's an item that was an exception that carried over into another year, then of course there will be repeat findings, and we just want to make everyone aware because you've been made aware of those issues. So until it is cleared and gets us cut off, it will be repeat. Am I correct in that, VP Allen?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. And Madam Chair, you mentioned also in previous board meetings, due to the timing of the audits that were released, FY19 and FY20 were just released in 21 and in 22. So it's a process of being able to get in front of these audits going forward. So of the 7 comments or audit findings that we currently had as of 6/30/20 going into now 6/30/21, and it's not set in stone just yet, but we've been able to clear based on conversations with the auditors that'll be in the final report that they issue, that 3 of the 7 items that were noted as findings will not be repeat findings. And that's a lot of work given in 1 year, considering that some of these comments were just year after year after year. Now, the one blanket comment that was finding number 1 that encompassed 2 through 6 is still discussions if they're going to have that in there. We really oppose that, as that's not really an audit finding as it relates to technical guidance. But again, that's Jason Mumpower's office and they make that determination, but we can respond to that in writing, in which we will.
Well, VPL, and I just encourage that in items where we have addressed and they shouldn't be repeat findings, that we work very closely with the auditors to make sure that comes out in the interest that is best for us. If they just flat refuse to change something and we know that we are correct in it, I suggest that we write that when we respond.
Yes,
Also, the last thing, as we clear these items, let's remove them from the report. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Please come make any comments that you have. Okay, you all make me feel bad. I know I'm not talking.
I
Yes,
think,
sir.
trustee,
I'm sorry, who was that?
Dr. Cole, this is Andre Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Is there a way that the board can be made aware of any potential outstanding or open or potential findings that may be presented or found before the deadline, so that if there is something open, we'll know about it in advance and we won't have to see it in a report after the fact? Now, we hope none are there, but if there are something that's going to be open or outstanding, is there a way to let us know?
Whomever wants to address that.
well, we're gonna have Doug, you want to answer that because we're gonna have the exit conference when they present the findings to us, and we'll have a chance to respond to them. But I don't think they'll give it to us before then. I mean, there's some discussion that may take place, but it may not be, it may be an exception, it may not rise to the level of finding. So as soon as we can get any information from them in writing, we'll be happy to share it with them.
Madam President, you are 100% correct. And I also want to go back to the timing of these findings. It's hard to clear a finding when you receive your audit report a year and a half after it was originally the year end closes. So that's why we're working with the State Comptroller's Office to be able to expedite this process, making sure that we've done what we need to do on our end and that they perform and prepare their audits timely, so that we're on the same schedule as as the other LGIs. And again, so Trustee Johnson, to answer your question, as we become aware and things are becoming finalized, that's when we notify you all. And that's to keep everyone in front of these findings.
But also, VP Allen, I would like for us, there's some things that we should know in advance that that would show up. So I think if we would make the board aware of that, then it's not quite a shock as when you get it through an audit report. Like you said, for instance, when we talk about the timing, we know, and I keep repeating it in meetings, we know that's going to come up in another audit. So if we could make the board aware of those things that we know in advance, because we should know where we are just as well as they know where we are when they come in. We should know where we are before they come in. And a tremendous amount of work has been done since you have been here, VP Allen, and we appreciate that. I just like for us to be a little bit on a proactive standpoint, in that we know our system as well as they know our system, so that we know, and that we can't clear everything once. I understand that, and there'll be problems, but so that we can make the board aware, we know this is going to come up, and this is what we've already done to address it.
Agreed.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there any additional business? I'm sorry.
No.
Are we going to executive session?
I am going to go. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting to enter into executive session for discussion of items deemed confidential under law?
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to adjourn the meeting to enter into executive session for discussion and items deemed confidential under state law. The Secretary of Pendleton, I'm promoting everybody today. Secretary of Pendleton, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole,
Yes.
trustee McKenzie,
Yes.
trustee Pinnick.
Aye.
We have 3 ayes.
Okay, so we adjourn to move into executive session. And do we have to move some individuals out? I don't know.
Yes, so we're gonna need to
Yes.
move individuals out and then also, I provided some other information to, Dr. Melton.
Give me 1 minute.
Robbie, can you make me host again so I can stop live stream or you can stop it?
Yes, I'm making you host now.